The Fin Forecast presents the Fin Forum, hosted by Marjahn with our special guest, Giselle Deane.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Fin Forecast YouTube channel. Today's video is part of the Fin Forum, a subsidiary of the Fin Forecast, where scientists, creatives, and curious minds can come together to share the exciting work that they are doing related to Earth and the environment. If you're interested in presenting on our YouTube channel or just writing on our website, please send an email to jointhefinforum@gmail.com. I'm your host, Marjahn and today I am so happy to introduce you all to my dear friend and colleague, Giselle Deane. After obtaining her bachelor's degree in environmental science, Giselle has been a science officer at the Bahamas National Trust for 10 years. She holds a master's degree in geographic information sciences and technology from the Georgia Institute of Technology, and fun fact, she has some mad drone pilot skills. You see how I did it? She is also, now take note of this, the president of the Bird Club of New Providence, the developer and manager of the NASA Snake Rescue Team, say that 5 times fast, and the moderator and data manager of the Bahama Parrots of Nassau Locator Facebook page. Today I'm talking to Giselle about her journey into the environmental world. So, starting that journey off with, of course, a weather question, because, Fin Forecast. Giselle, I feel like every time I look out, whenever I see parrots, I feel like they're around rainbows. Is there something to that? Like, are parrots attracted to rainbows?
Not sure about attracted. They are very colorful, usually. Yeah, greens and blues and reds and all those fun colors. But attracted is not quite. But birds do actually see light differently from people. Mm-hmm. They have a different range of vision from us. And, where we have more visible light spectrum capabilities, they can actually see into the UV spectrum. So, it's pretty cool. They see color, differently from us.
And UV spectrum, like they could see a
like
more intense color view?
Mm-hmm.
Or?
They can basically see like black light naturally.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Like they could solve crimes.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Think about it. And so my second weather question is, since you also are an expert on snakes, where do you know where they go during hurricanes? Like where snakes would be?
Where do snakes go during hurricanes?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I think, the boas, they're more of like, tree species, but they would probably take covers in like cavities or maybe like under rocks and stuff like that. And so with the other ground dwelling snakes. So that's my guess. I'm not entirely sure.
This is a question that I will have to look into at some point.
People's cars.
Yeah. Okay.
It happens.
Yeah. So that's where like the craziest place you found a snake when you had to do. Let's
craziest.
Yeah. Let's get there. First of all, let's start with this. Giselle, I've known you since we were both 13 years old.
It's a long time. It's a long time.
Yes, very long. Not very long. Can't say that, but.
I don't know, MG. 20 years is a long time.
Listen, don't have 20 years. Oh my God. But, 20 years ago, did you know that you wanted to work in environmental science, to be in this, did you picture yourself in this exact field?
Oh, no, actually. I wanted to be a vet, basically, since I was born, and pretty much all the way through grade school, up until I started going to COB. Mm-hmm. And then COB did me real dirty, and so I couldn't get into pre-vet school. But, I grew up watching things like National Geographic and Discovery Channel and Animal Planet, and of course the classic kid shows like Zaboomafoo and Wild Thornberries. Shout out to the greatest. Yeah. So I think there was like some kind of like subconscious brainwashing with my interests, like back in the beginning. So always loved animals. So I don't know, kind of the next best thing situation.
And I appreciate that you love animals because we have a lot of questions about animals. So would you say your love of animals inspired you to do this work?
Yeah, actually, I think when I couldn't get into like vet school, I was thinking about alternatives and looking into what other things I could do to help animals in the environment. So I kind of thought of something not as direct as veterinary medicine. Um, but I think I ended up making the right choice because veterinary medicine is very scary and really hard. And I saw my uncle go through it, and it's probably not for me. Between the pressure and the heartbreak, scary to think about. But other stuff that inspired me, of course, my aunt Eleanor. She's one of the local Bahamian environmental greats, as I like to call them. One of the most impactful.
Could you give your aunt's full name for those who may not be?
Eleanor Phillips. Yes, she started the Nature Conservancy, their local presence here in the Bahamas, and that's gone pretty far. They've done a lot of good work, mostly with marine, but some terrestrial stuff here and there. Of course, one of the other greats, Steve Irwin. I grew up watching him. He's a great guy, really educational, gave me a sense of adventure and helped me be less scared of scary things. And of course, I was devastated when he passed away, and so it was like, that was rough for me. And then another thing that I thought of when I was thinking about this question was when I was young, maybe 8 or 9 or 10, somewhere around there. I went on a family trip for like 3 weeks to Abaco, and we were living in a cottage off the grid. My great uncle took me fishing and in Cherokee Sound, which is a place in Abaco. And then I got to visit the Abaco National Park, and we saw the baby parrots in the holes in the ground, and we saw the wild horses before they went extinct. So it was like, it's just really nice to be outside in nature. So yeah.
That's inspired. And since you mentioned your love of animals, I wanted to start off with the scariest animal to me, which are the snakes, right? So firstly, could you explain to us why we see snakes in the Bahamas and why it's important for us to rescue them?
Why we see snakes in the Bahamas. So we have about 12 different species of snakes all across the Bahamas. Most of them are actually smaller species, and they're ground dwellers. But when Bahamians think snake, they usually think in big snake, foul snake, Bahamian boa. But the thing about the Bahamian boa is it's native and endemic. So it is found here in the Bahamas and nowhere else in the world. They evolved or were separated maybe, however many years ago when the ice age stopped and the sea levels rose, and they were cut off from their cousins in Cuba and the Hispaniola. And so now we have our own species. But yeah, they're really cool. They're our largest native terrestrial predator. We have 5 different species in the country, including 2 that are in the endangered species list. And of course, they eat rats, which are a non-native invasive pest animal that cause all sorts of problems between, eating through your crops or garbage or groceries or whatever. They carry diseases like the plague, leptospirosis, and of course the recently relevant hantavirus, which thankfully there's no evidence of that here, but that's what they do. Snakes are also very docile. They're harmless to humans. They are capable of biting, but their primary defense is, of course, musking, which is similar to what skunks would do. And they release this horrible, smelly, greasy liquid. Ugh, it's gross. Absolutely worse than getting bit, for sure.
I've never seen that.
Oh, it's nasty work.
Okay.
And it sticks to you. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, if you happen to encounter a snake in your yard, leave it alone. It's probably there eating rats that might be in your yard. They also eat frogs and lizards and birds. But if they happen to be in your house or shed or garage or car or roof, you can feel free to reach out to the Bahamas Snake Rescue Team on Facebook.
Well, I hate rats more than I hate snakes. So I have to ask, what advice would you give to someone who is afraid of snakes in general, but also when it comes to snake rescue? I don't want to I'm scared of the snake. I don't want to kill it, but I also don't want to touch it. What should I,
Yeah, that's hard. I think you could try to ignore it. Although I know a lot of people, especially Bahamians, once they know it's there, it's a problem.
It's in the roof.
So, if you are scared of them being in places that they shouldn't be, you should make sure to take care of, things like holes in your roof, because that's one of the ways they get into your roof. Hole, yeah, in your roof of your house.
Okay.
It happens. Make sure derelict vehicles are checked thoroughly and moved around, because they do tend to like those kind of places as well. Usually because there's rats infested in derelict vehicles, or infesting their derelict vehicles. But yeah, if you would like to try to be brave and move a snake from where it's not supposed to be or where you don't want it, you can gently pick it up from the tail end and put it in a pillowcase or a soft case, or just move it to a different bush somewhere and it'll be fine. Or again, contact Snake Rescue Team.
And that is Snake Rescue Team on Facebook. Okay, just going to clarify that for the folks who may not be aware, or who were listening to that part. Definitely, Snake Rescue Team on Facebook. We don't have to touch the snake; someone will come and get it. Okay, and what led to the formation of the Snake Rescue Team, if I can ask that? I mean, I'm gonna get back to you in a minute, but I just want to know.
Yeah. So working at the BNT for a long time, one of my mentors here, when I first started, especially, was Scott Johnson. He is one of the, how do I call it? Bushmen, so to speak, of the Bahamas. We have a couple of those nowadays. It seems to be growing in popularity. But yeah, Scott is one of the originals. He taught me a lot about what I know, especially for terrestrial stuff, including snakes. And so we were talking one day, and it was me and our boss, and we were like, we should make a snake rescue team so people can reach out to somebody if they don't want to kill a snake, but they don't want it in their house. So yeah, so that's basically what we did.
So just so people know, Scott is also going to be the next guest on the FinForum. So.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah. We have friends all meeting up. So at Bahamas National Trust, you were there for 10 years. And I want to know about your experience there. You were assistant science officer, and now you are senior science officer. Can you walk me through that experience at Bahamas National Trust? I'm so curious.
Yeah. So if you somehow don't know what the Bahamas National Trust, or BNT, is, we protect and manage 33 national parks across the country. We're an interesting case globally because we're one of the only organizations in the world that is not a government agency, but manages national parks. And so if you've ever been to Jollification, you've been to a national park. But yeah, we have other places you can go, that are similar to, but different to the retreat, which is on Village Road. But yeah. I started out as an assistant I technically started out as an assistant Bahamas Natural History Conference coordinator in November of 2015. And that basically was me helping out organize the biennial science conference that the BNT used to put on, which went successfully in 2016. It was great. It took place at UB. Great time. And apparently they decided that I did a good enough job, so they hired me on permanently or not permanently, but they hired me on as a assistant science officer in April 2016. And so what that was helping a lot of the other science officers with their projects. It was a lot of office-y work, but I was also trained to do Atlantic Gulf Rapid Reef Assessment, or AGRA surveys, and that's to assess things like coral reefs and mangroves. And I was able to help with some of those. And I also started learning about birds and doing bird surveys. In 2018, I organized the, what was it, 1, 2, 3, I think the 4th Bahamas Natural History Conference, which took place at Bahamar. 2019, did a lot of bird stuff, including a lot of traveling. I went to Andros to help with the Bahama Oriole project. Bahama Oriole is a bird that's also endemic to the Bahamas, found only on Andros. I did a trip to Grand Bahama to search for the Bahama nuthatch, which is a critically endangered species found only in Grand Bahama, and as well as a trip to Abaco to help with post-Hurricane Dorian bird surveys. I also super got into like GIS and drones that year, so that was a good year. Started planning for the 5th conference, Bahamas Natural History Conference 2020, but I mean, you know, certain other things happened in 2020, so we had to pivot it to an online version, and we had a virtual conference, which was fine. Yeah, after that, 2021, I was promoted to science officer and started doing some other stuff. Was able to go to my first Spurs Caribbean conference in 2020, which happened in Puerto Rico. Then I took like a study leave break for a year between 2022 and 2023 to do my master's at the Georgia Institute of Technology. And when I came back, I was promoted to senior science officer, which is my current position. Basically, what that means is I'm able to guide how we do certain monitoring of certain things within national parks, and mostly focus on terrestrial and GIS related activities. I also sit on a number of national and international committees, including the National Geospatial Technical Committee and the International Kirtland's Warbler Steering Committee. Okay, I had to remember which one it was, and have been involved in a bunch of other stuff. So it's been a lot, but it's also been 10 years of my life. So, you know, I'm glad to say that I'm pretty accomplished.
I mean, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have expected, you know, the 10 years coming out. You know what I mean? Like we went from 20 years to 10 years ago. Like, you know, like it's impressive.
Time's interesting. Yeah.
So you talked about GIS and like, you know, you studied it, you do the work with GIS right now. Mm-hmm. GIS is Geographic Information Systems, yes?
Yes. Yeah.
Why?
Or science.
Science.
Mm-hmm. It could be either or.
Mm-hmm. Either or, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why did you study that, and why is it important?
Well, I've loved maps and geography pretty much almost as long as I've loved animals, I think. When I was young, I had this like Atlas of the World book for kids, and I was obsessed with it. I would be like, I want to go to this country, and I want to go to this country. This country's next to, and yeah. Anyway, but GIS is basically, to put simply, I make maps. And to go into a little bit more detail, everything has to happen somewhere. And so you can use geographic data, so location data, in combination with other types of data to kind of do all sorts of things. So you could run an analysis on tourist visitation and see where we would need to, you know, maybe have a marketing campaign to bring more tourists from certain areas. You could use socioeconomic data to see if there's a connection between things like household income, age, and education, and who won in each constituency during the election that happened this week. And then some stuff I've been doing recently is using satellite imagery to look for historical disturbances, such as fire and hurricanes, and how we can use that to manage national parks. So yeah, I think it's really cool. You can use it for all kinds of different things. It has lots of different applications. And it's also kind of a niche, well, it is a niche field of study, especially here in the Bahamas. But, you know, it also has applications in pretty much every field. So yeah, maps are cool.
Here. So we talked about GIS and how incredible it is. Mm-hmm. follow-up question to that. Like, I know I didn't send this earlier, but just in terms of like OpenGIS versus like ArcGIS, I know there's a difference between the two of those things. We get a little niche, but I did a fellowship that was focused on like open data software. How do you feel there could be improvement with, I think the open data is QGIS, right? In terms of open data software, QGIS is the open data version of GIS. GIS. Where do you think there are, like, how do you feel using, do you prefer using the open data QGIS or the ArcGIS when doing work? Or, and if so, could you say why? Or if not, are there improvements that could be made for the open data field, you think, in this particular like GIS related stuff?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Historically, I actually started learning with Esri, so ArcGIS, and then I formally did like a workshop, a week-long workshop on open source data, which involved QGIS. So I kind of know both of them. Both of them have their pros and their cons. Certain things are easier to do in one than the other. Like, for example, I like Esri's user interface a little bit more than Q's because it can be kind of confusing, but there's also like a bajillion plugins for QGIS. So, you know, if there's something specific you want to do, you can probably find it online somewhere. But yeah, in terms of open data stuff, I think actually there is currently a course or a set of courses being taught at UB, and I know they use QGIS. QGIS is of course also free compared to Esri. I think a personal license, so non-commercial license, is $200 a year. And then if you want to actually do stuff like for work, then it's like $700 or $900 a year or something like that. So, you know, versus free, you kind of got to make a choice there. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think the accessibility of Q is good to start with, because there's also like YouTube, and you can go on YouTube for free and learn how to do stuff in QGIS for free. So I think, you know, it's a good starting point for sure.
That's good to know. YouTube University does it again.
Indeed.
But that's good to know, because I was wondering too, like, I mean, that's a good, I didn't ask that question, but for someone who wanted to start out in GIS, QGIS would be a good stepping stone for them. Yeah. You'd say? Okay. So that's good to know for the people who are curious. And you did mention also the Kirkland Warbler. You know, I know about the Kirkland Warbler because I learned it from you. Can you, so I just want to give a small story. So back when I worked in Eleuthera, Giselle, who was doing some workshops on the Kirkland Warbler for folks in Eleuthera, could you talk about that experience, like working with, like, that's part of your job too, like working and like meeting people, holding workshops, general education. How was that? And also specifically, how was it for the Kirkland Warbler?
Yeah, so it's Kirtland's Warbler with a T. Kirkland is the Costco brand of products that they have.
You see where my mind's at? Yeah. You love animals, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, education it can be fun, but it can also be challenging. I've done quite a bit of it for all sorts of different things. I think the Eleuthera stuff and the Kirtland stuff is good because the Kirtland's it has such a long history with Eleuthera. One of the first, one of the first projects that TNC did in the early 2000s was the Kirtland's Warbler project. And so a lot of people got their start with that project, field training, stuff like that. But for the actual education aspect, yeah, sometimes it can be hard to communicate what you want to communicate without having to use a bunch of different words that people don't understand what they mean. And so trying to figure that out is kind of like a puzzle sometimes. And then on the other hand, there's sometimes people who, you're telling them this thing and about this thing because you've been doing the work behind this thing, and they don't believe you that, conquered, endangered, or, in danger of going extinct, or, to give an example. So finding a balance between the fun part of education and the frustrating part of education is definitely part of it. Yeah. I don't know if that answers the question. I feel like
it does, because I mean, it's true. Like doing outreach can be very difficult, especially in the scientific field. And I like my brain was going like several different places when we were talking about it, but I wanted to ask you just in terms of Kirtland warbler, the Bahama parrot, things like that, like the birds of it all. In terms of locating them, you have to use GIS application, or like what are the mechanisms required to like locate parrots and also like to keep tabs on the Kirtland warbler? Very simply, if you could describe that.
Yeah. So bird surveys differ depending on what you're trying to do. It depends on the species you're looking at. If you're looking at the bird population as a whole versus specific species. So in the case of the Bahama parrot, for example, I've been helping my colleague DeMonica Brown with her master's work on the Bahama parrot. And what we did for that work was basically go out to random points in South Abaco and stand up for like 10 minutes and see if we heard parrots. And if we compare that to the Kirtland's warbler, which is a recently unendangered but formerly endangered species, but they're also quite rare and what is the word I want to use? Skittish. That's a word, I guess. So for those, we actually have to walk down roads and in certain areas using their song. So the sound that they make during the breeding season to try and attract them to us. So, and we have different methodologies depending on what we're looking for. But yeah, I mean, birds.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about the bird club, I swear, but I just wanted to ask about just animal surveys in general. You said you did animal surveys for the Atlantic as well, the fish.
Oh, yeah, it's been a while since I did those, but
yes. So what is that survey called again? I swear I worked for a marine biologist. I just have forgotten it.
So the Atlantic Gulf Rapid Reef Assessment, AGRA, AGRRA. Yes.
Okay. I'm working with Argo, so my brain I switched the two up. So my question is like, what is an animal survey actually? Like, what is that, and how is it different for aquatic life, terrestrial life, and I guess aerial, like aviary? Like, how are they different?
Yeah, so I mean, similar to the bird surveys, it's all species and environment dependent. The AGRA surveys are specifically a standardized way to be able to collect data, usually for coral reefs, but it's also been adapted for things like mangrove creeks and stuff like that, to be able to compare different sites to each other, for example. And that includes things like coral cover and fish species diversity. And there's another one that I don't remember. Oh, coral health. And so basically what that data is used for is creating coral reef report cards, and you can find those online for the Bahamas I think it's every 4 years or something like that. But for other species, it's basically, what are you looking for? Usually we would come up with a plan and some questions. What are we trying to answer? And that would guide our work. That would decide what kind of methodologies we're using, what kind of equipment we need, and what kind of, timing what kind of timing the surveys have to take place within, so on and so forth. So, if we were looking for insects, for example, we'd set different insect traps. You can dig little holes in the ground and burrowing beetles will fall into the holes and get stuck in there.
Oh.
You can set up, sheets at night and shine bright lights to attract moths and other nocturnal insects. I haven't done any reptile surveys, so I'm not quite sure how those work. Although I have not yet. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Although I have done some work with the Shed Aquarium, doing long-term monitoring of our iguana species. But that's a little different. That's kind of more physiological stuff versus, actual just survey to see how many iguanas are on the island, for example. And then, it depends. We can also do things like aerial surveys using drones, which we're currently kind of doing now in Inagua for the breeding flamingos. So the flamingos, because they're nesting, they tend to not be as disturbed by the drones as they would be otherwise. So we can basically take photos and then count manually how many flamingos are breeding at this time. So lots of different things, lots of different questions to answer, lots of different answers or ways to answer. So
that's really cool. So how long have you been a drone pilot, with these surveys? I know important.
Yeah, I started technically in 2019. We got a Mavic, maybe a little bit before, because we had a drone called a 3DR Solo. They were, how do I say this? They were donated to us through a program, but they were early drones, so they had some issues. So we kind of were a little scared of them. But after that, we got into DJI, or I think people call them Digi. I don't know. Which are a popular drone manufacturer, and they also do other stuff now, like cameras and microphones and all those cool things. We got one of those, a Mavic Pro 2, to help us with habitat surveys after Hurricane Dorian. So we had one of those, and then we got another one with thermal camera capabilities in 2023. I've been doing that since 2018, 2019. The cool thing is it's usually all automated. So basically just punch in, we want you to map this area, and then you press go and the drone flies up and takes a bunch of pictures and then comes back, and it's pretty chill usually.
Do you need a license?
Do you need a license?
No, before you get there, you said unless it's over water.
Oh, unless it's over water, and then it gets kind of scary because you don't want the drone to fall in the water.
Of course.
Yeah.
But do you need a license to be able to handle the drone?
Your drone needs to be licensed, but here in the Bahamas, you don't need to have a pilot's license.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just inspired some people, I'm sure, with that. But I mean,
I did learn recently you can take a Canadian drone pilot test online for 10 Canadian dollars, very cheap, and you can get your license. And I don't know if it's valid here, but I mean, if you want something official, it seems like a good option, and I will probably be looking into that soon.
One more interesting thing to add to your CV, which, by the way, I enjoyed reading. Thank you. No, because it's I was so inspired by Seaver when you were this, close to him, based on this conversation. Yeah, I wasn't a vet, but you're pretty much with the animals. You're watching, you know what I mean? Doing all these incredible surveys. And then on top of that, like we said before, you were hired by Bahamas Natural Trust to organize the Bahamas Natural History Conference. And I remember it in 2018, I think. Conferences they're glamorous when people are engaging in them and attending them, but organizing, working behind the scenes, not so glamorous. little difficult. Could you how was your experience organizing all of those, and like could you tell us the significance of this particular conference? And is it coming back?
Oh, well, the Bahamas Natural History Conference, like I mentioned before, is a conference that the BNT organized every other year from 2014 to 2020 ish. Um, uh, yeah, it is or was, I don't know, it's hard to talk about. It was the largest scientific conference in the Bahamas. Um,
Yes.
but unfortunately it's been kind of dormant since 2020 due to a bunch of different reasons that I don't really want to go into right now. But yeah, but if you're interested, we do have recordings on YouTube, so if you want to watch the old ones, I mean, they're there. But yeah, conferences are great. And I really like going to them. You get to meet people who do similar to work to you, who do different work from you but are in similar situations, people you've communicated with just over email or phone. But organizing them is a lot of work. It's so hard. It's so much logistic stuff that you have to figure out, and you got to find a venue and seek sponsorship for funding it, and of course send out the call of abstracts, read the abstracts, approve the abstracts, organize workshops. And back when I was doing it, we didn't have any of this fancy conference apps so they have today, like Hoover. Yeah, although I'm sure we would use it now if we did. Had to send out mass emails, and of course trying to schedule everything without having too many conflicts, because it's too many people. But you got to have this person who needs to be at this meeting at this time, so they can't present at this time, but they want to see this presentation. You gotta, it's hard.
I can't imagine like going, like graduating college, just got my bachelor's degree, and now you have to organize this giant conference.
Yeah.
And you did so well the first time.
Oh my gosh.
Then you gotta keep doing it.
Yes. Yeah. Thankfully I had a lot of help.
Yeah.
It was mostly my first boss, Shelly Cantwood, side. It was her baby. So yeah, so she did a lot of the heavy lifting. But yeah, I mean, complaints aside, I do miss the conference. I miss the excitement around it. People ask me, when is it coming back? And there's nothing like going to a conference that's relevant to you and your interests. I think it's always so exciting just to meet people who've like been through the same struggles as you, or are dealing, with the same frustrations as you are. And you also get to be the expert on your specific thing. And you also learn a lot, both about stuff you already know and stuff you'd never heard of before. I think that's actually where I first learned about Sweeting's Pond, which is a pond in Eleuthera, just north of Hatchet Bay, that has the most dense concentration of seahorses in the world, probably, and is now the BNT's newest national park. So, unfortunately, it's been dormant since 2020. Like I said, but we've been talking off and on about it for the last few years. Now that the things that I alluded to have sort of calmed down a little bit.
Okay. So just to go back a little bit on the birds. So you love the birds. What is your favorite animal, actually?
My favorite animal?
Yes. Oh, me too.
Oh my goodness. I was expecting to see my favorite bird, but favorite animal.
Yeah.
It depends on what kind of animal we're talking about.
Let's start with the birds. Since you're the president of the bird club.
There's so many birds that I like. Off the top of my head, I really like blue-gray gnatcatchers. They're really small, but they're also really biggity. And they.
How small is small?
Like, I have a ruler. They're like, this is a 6-inch ruler.
Yes.
They're like oh, sorry, this is not the inches side. They're like this big. No, sorry, they're like that big.
Okay, that's
That's like
small.
that's 3 inches. And that's with the
Okay.
tail, so they're small. And they are the most biggity little things ever. First time I saw when I was doing some Bahama Oriole surveys in Andros, and so we were like hiding in the bush watching this bird, like seeing where it was taking its nesting material, and this like little thing that was like, you know, the size of a mouse came up right up to me and was like screaming, and I was like, oh my god, you are so blue and you are so cute. And the males have they oh my god. Okay, so birds, when they're trying to make babies, they have different feathers sometimes from when they're not trying to make babies. And so when the males are getting into the season, they get this angry unibrow that's like this, and they look like the most furious little things. They're so cute. Yeah, aside from that, I yeah, aside from them, I like all of our endemic birds. I think that's cool that we have a lot of them, whereas a lot of countries don't have any endemic birds. And we have 6, so pretty good.
Just for my audience, what does endemic mean?
Endemic means that it is found in one region or place and nowhere else in the world.
Yeah. One more reason to feel special about being from the Bahamas, right?
Yeah, aside from those, I really like our snakes too. I'm sorry. I do find joy in them, in that, you know, they're also endemic, and this might sound a little cruel, but it's always funny to me that when I go to a place to like move a snake from somewhere, that I'm like holding something like, you know, a foot, 2 foot, like bigger than I am, and like grown men are screaming outside, and I'm just like, this is it's a snake. So yeah, so in a cruel way I like them, but I also think they can be
I'd be screaming too.
yeah, I like them. I didn't even get to talk about the fact that they're rainbow boas. When they shed, they have this like beautiful iridescence on their skin, and so they're really pretty. Anyway,
that's really so. There are rainbow boas. Oh well, you know, we talked about rainbows in the parrots. Now rainbows in the snakes.
No,
right?
that's
So
where you
Yeah, see, perfect for the weather. I'm concerned. But where's the weirdest place you had to rescue a snake from? Like the craziest place you've had to like do a snake rescue?
The craziest place. I mean, I get contacted fairly often from like a lot of places. I don't really do roof rescues because I don't like going into roofs. So I usually call somebody else to do those. But aside from that, there was one near my neighborhood a couple of years ago where a snake had fallen onto a net over a pond, and it had gotten tangled up in the net. And so I had to cut the net, and it had some cuts on it. So I had to take it in to Adastra to get it checked out and stuff like that. But yeah, that was probably the most intense and like kind of weirdest place I've had to extract one from.
Yeah. Adastra has like a veterinary thing for snakes too.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look at the Adastra Gardens. They're doing great work. I did not know that. Okay, let's talk about birds again, because snakes, they're beautiful. Well, you know, actually, before we get there, how many people are volunteers with the snake rescue team?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We have a few regulars. So me, Scott Johnson, Andrew Haley, who is one of the curators at Adastra Gardens. There is Sean Saunders, who is an education officer here at BNT. And then a couple of the veterinarians. I think Jade Greenslade is her name. She does them sometimes. There's Vaclav Bastian, I think is his name. I think he's a dog trainer, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, we have a couple like regulars, and then, you know, other people who do stuff every so often. Yeah.
So, because, you know, at the end of this, I have to ask, because people are going to ask, how can I join? How can people, if people are inclined because they want to help rescue snakes or even hold a snake, where would they sign up to join the snake rescue team? Do they have to go through any training, or is it just come as you are and don't be afraid?
It can be both. I mean, the BNT is actually having a workshop this weekend, so that's tomorrow, May 15th or May 16th, and I think this is being released after the fact, but I think we do those twice a year, so there should be another one in like November or something. So if you want some quote unquote formal training, going to one of those would be good. Because you can get to meet a snake, hold a snake, learn how to properly pick them up and move them and put them into their safety equipment, which is just a pillowcase, and do's and don'ts of how to handle snakes. And yeah, once you do that, and or if you're just interested in helping out, you can just join the snake rescue team on Facebook.
Okay, good to know. And then my other question is, since you are president of the Bird Club, firstly, how do you become president of the Bird Club?
Yeah, so I joined the Bird Club after working for the BNT for a few years, and just getting more interested in birds. After going out a lot of times and becoming more interested in it, I became a committee member, which kind of I was able to help make decisions on where we went, what kind of activities we were doing, because we do have other events sometimes. And then after doing that for a while, last year, our previous president stepped down. We had a vacancy, and I didn't step up right away, but it basically went a month and we didn't have a president. And so I was kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'll try it out for a little while. So apparently they liked me enough because I was reelected this year. And so, yes, it's been almost a year and a half of being president of the Bird Club.
I need to show the people a bird.
Oh, yes, this is a bird. I'm sorry, we don't have this one here. This is a Puerto Rican toady, I think.
Okay. And you got to do bird, I mean, probably not with the Bird Club, but just based on your own enthusiasm, you go to other places and look for birds as well.
Sometimes I've been for work, and then in my free time on my vacation, I also do go outside and look for birds, yes.
What equipment does one need to bird watch and bird watch well?
You don't need any equipment to bird watch well, because birding isn't just about being able to see the bird. As long as you enjoy birds, you can be a birder. So if you want to get into it, it would be good to obtain things like a pair of binoculars and stuff like that. But you don't need those kind of things. You can just go outside, use your eyes just as they are. Glasses if you need them. I wear glasses. But use your ears. Birds communicate through all sorts of different sounds. If you hear a bird, you can try to figure out where it's coming from, and if you look at it, then you can use apps such as Merlin, and which basically lets you do a step-by-step identification of the bird, and then you can figure out what it is. But yeah, if you're a little bit more interested, you could do things like get a pair of binoculars, or if you want to become one of those serious people who take bird photographs, then you can start doing that and get your fancy camera equipment and stuff like that, which is unfortunately where I am headed to.
Photographer. Which is going to lead us to talking about your development on Instagram, but we're not there yet. I actually have a special, not surprise to you, but surprise to the audience. Okay. We have questions from the audience and for you. The audience being my 18-year-old cousin, who is going to be an environmental scientist, according to his college path right now. So he has asked 3 specific, let me use gender neutral pronouns. They have asked some very specific questions about environmental science. And the first one was, what are some career paths that can be taken with this undergrad college major, that being environmental science, in this field?
Yeah, so I mean, aside from an environmental scientist, which is kind of the most obvious thing, you can do a lot with an environmental science degree. The reason I did it is because it was not specific. And so I was like, if I want to do this thing, then I can do this thing. But if I want to do that thing, I can do that thing. So I know people who've done environmental science, who are marine biologists, they're statisticians, they're ecologists, they're climate policy officers. So, they go on to do climate stuff. Educators, environmental consultants for, both environmental and engineering firms. And of course, you can work at any of the or many of the different environmental organizations locally, such as BNT, government agencies like Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, Forestry, the Department of Marine Resources, and other nonprofits like Brief, Friends of the Environment in Abaco, and the Nature Conservancy. So lots of different options.
That's a great answer. Thank you. I wouldn't even have thought of all that. That was really good. Okay, their second question. In today's Bahamian society, is the environment prioritized as much as it should be? Why do you think it is or isn't?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think that's hard, because I feel like, especially after Hurricane Dorian, oh my Jesus, it should be a priority. It should be the number one priority of the country. But in terms of action, it hasn't been as much in the forefront as I've personally wanted it to be.
This is not a question from them. This is me just following up on that, what you're saying. In terms of like policy changes and everything else, do you think, like, the Department of Environmental Planning and Protection, this is really a reminder to everyone too. They do have town halls when projects are put out so that the Bahamian public can come and like talk, share their concerns, listen to what the project is, and oppose if they so desire. Do you think those are effective? When I say effective, not necessarily like, is it like public engagement that you think could be possibly better?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Always. I think taking it to the Bahamian people is, something that needs to be happening more, especially when it has to do with the environment and developments and stuff like that. And yeah, I feel like a lot of the time things aren't advertised either enough or in a timely manner. And a lot of the public meetings and things like that happen on like weekdays when people might be busy, or, or just getting off of work and stuff like that. So it's a little tough. Yeah.
We need bosses and corporations, as me making my plea, when there are international meetings in town halls, give your employees the days to go and see them. Like with voting, give them the chance.
Yeah.
Okay, this is their last question from the audience. What are some concerns that this major, environmental science, brings? For example, is there good job security in NASA, or will I have to move somewhere else to find job security? And will jobs pay good money?
Yeah, in terms of job security, I think kind of following up to the it shouldn't be prioritized as much as it should be question. There are some things in the works currently that are moving in the right direction, and that is stuff like the currently ongoing debt conversion project, which I really can't be specific about right now. But yeah, it's basically this big project where the government is trying to get its 70 something protected areas on stream and in working condition over the next 10 15 years, something like that. So there should be a lot of opportunity for that project. If you have specialized skills, such as GIS, or if you were to do something such as the Leon Levy Native Plant Preserve internship and start learning things like botany, you will have quite a good chance of getting a job offer at a number of different places. Do the jobs pay good money? It depends on what you do. I can say here at the BNT, it could be better, but it also could be worse. If you were to go into the private sector, you would be making more money than you would be at a BNT. But I also feel like there's perks to BNT that you wouldn't get in the private sector. We tend to be relaxed and more flexible with certain things. So yeah, it's stuff like that. Other concerns, again, it depends on what you do. Sometimes the work, I have to admit, can be dangerous. Sometimes you end up in remote areas with no cell phone signal. And if something, God forbid, were to happen to you, then it could not end well in certain things. But that's why you have to make sure you're prepared with plans and contacts, and that I don't like to do things alone. I don't like to do surveys alone. I don't like to go into remote areas alone. So I tend to use the buddy system. Aside from that, it's cool. I like doing my work a lot. I like going outside. I like being paid to go outside. I like meeting other people who have similar interests and professions as I do. And so it's cool, but pros and cons, like always.
Thank you on their behalf. I know that they needed to hear that one.
Mm-hmm.
Giselle, I'm never gonna let you go. That's
okay.
I was gonna ask questions. So BNT has to be great. You've been there for 10 years, and my question. Okay, I need to reword this. In terms of all the work that you've done, all the places you've been, you not intentionally, but definitely becoming a Steve Irwin in your own right, right? In the Bahamas in general. How do you think? How many people do you think you would have inspired and mentored to actually follow you in like the environmental science role? Because even you mentioned to Monica Brown and like seeing her present on her master's work, and me thinking to myself, I remember when she worked came with Giselle to Eleuthera. Like, how many people do you think you would have mentored and inspired? Do you think about it?
No. I mean, a little bit. That's not true. Okay, no, sorry, that's not true. Actually, I have a great, very relevant and recent story to that. So every summer at BNT since 2017, we've run a summer science internship program. By the way, applications are open right now until the end of May. So if you know somebody in university or college, or if they've graduated university or college and are looking for something to do, BNT.bs /SummerScienceInternship. Anyway, but yeah, I haven't really thought about it, but recently a former intern of mine, he also did the same program at Acadia University, environmental science, as me, and he started when I think I was leaving. Yeah, he started, his first year was my last year. Anyway, he became one of my interns, and he asked me last year for a letter of recommendation to get into school. He's doing GIS as well in a school in Nova Scotia. And he actually is going through that program, and he got a job offer from Esri, who are the makers of ArcGIS. And so they're kind of like, I've been telling people, I'm like, it's basically like going to work for the Microsoft of GIS. And so until now, I haven't really I've thought about it, but I'm just like, I guess that's one of the examples of like where I've inspired somebody. And like they've now surpassing me. But yeah, I guess I've never thought of myself as an inspiration to other people. But I guess that's something I also need to be mindful of. A lot of the people who've gone through the summer internship are now working in the various environmental organizations. We have people at DEP, at environmental consultancies, doing research, continuing their education. So yeah, I mean, I guess I did play some part of a role in their lives and their getting to be the people that they want to be.
And I mean, I just have to add this other layer. Hate myself for it, but I do. I mean, we've known each other 20 years, and I have to add, like, we came up in a time where it was, girls do this, boys do this. And like, you are a girl who went outdoors. You did the outdoor thing. You love being outside. You love being paid to be outside. And, you've probably not just inspire like young Bahamians clearly, but like young girls to really want to like touch dirt and see birds.
Indeed.
Yeah, like as a, like your leadership and everything else, you organizing these like why were you never afraid to just do things? You know what I mean? Like that'd be my other thing. Like we needed somebody to rescue snakes. We needed someone to locate back like parrots. We needed someone to be the president of the birding club. We need someone to go to this remote place. Like, I mean, obviously everyone has some fears, but you just go for these things. You just do these things. Like what advice would you give someone who wants to do it, but is really scared to like take the first step in anything?
Something that helped me a lot was learning, like educating myself on something beforehand, I guess. So like, I'm not afraid of snakes because I know they're not going to hurt me. I'm not afraid of, a lot of people tend to be afraid of flying. I'm not scared of flying because what somebody explained to me was that turbulence, for example, isn't scary to me anymore because the same way, a boat is fine on choppy seas, a plane is fine in turbulent weather. So, just having that information is kind of how I deal with being scared of things. And there are things that I am scared of. I'm not the biggest fan of spiders, although I'm working on it because I'm learning that, spiders don't bite you unless they have to, and that they're actually quite beneficial to us because a lot of our spiders that we have here eat roaches, and of course nobody like a roach. So it's just the putting in the work and putting in the research and rationalizing with my irrational thoughts that it's fine, that you can do it. And of course, I also have some imposter syndrome. How did I get here? I don't know. But, that's just a me problem. But
I mean, you're here.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you're a leader in these spaces. You're a leader. You're a founder. You do these things.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for someone who's like afraid to lead or is unsure of themselves when it comes to leadership? Like, what do you say to yourself to get out of this idea? Like, I don't know how I like then imposter syndrome. How do you like remind yourself, I worked here hard, I'm here, I should be here? What would you give, like, what advice would you give to someone also?
Yeah, I am still trying to figure that out for myself a little bit, but something that I heard, especially speaking to the leader part, is that, not all leaders have to be at the forefront. You can lead from the backseat. You can be a backseat driver if you want to be. Like, some people will find you annoying, but you don't have to be the forward facing person. You can be the person who does the grunt work, who makes the hard decisions, who makes the plan for the trip that you need to do, and this is what you need to do on the trip, and this is the time we're going to do it, and just get it done. So yeah, it is something that I'm still struggling with quite a bit, but I'm also getting some support for it now, and just taking people's the other thing that's been helping me a lot recently is trying to believe people's words that they tell you. So when you tell me that I'm an inspiration, I'm trying to take that to heart. So appreciate the kind words.
It's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Believe in yourself, or whatever they say. I don't know how the kids say it these days.
Believe in yourself like your friends believe in you. Because, like, imagine, like, right? Because imagine us being 13 and me being like, so guess what? In 20 years, this is what we're going to be doing. This is what we're going to be talking about. How much amazing work you've done. So, yeah. Well, Giselle, I'm extremely proud of you. Not to make it too personal, because this is, on YouTube. I'm extremely proud of you. And I'm so happy that you were able to join us on the Fin Forum. I'm so happy to talk about you and your life's work and your journey. Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience before we, wrap up?
Oh, yes. Birding is a hobby, and a lot of people don't know that the New Providence Bird Club exists. If you are interested in trying it out or joining the club, we have things like binoculars that you can borrow. We go out twice a month, although currently we're on summer break because it's too hot for us and the birds. But if you're interested, the Bird Club's email address is birdclubnewprovidence@gmail.com. All you have to do is fill out a membership form and pay $20 for the year. But if you join after the summer break, then it's $10 for the rest of the year. If you want more information, reach out to me. Birding's cool. It's becoming a cool hobby. Apparently, I don't know. But it's also really fun. We have people from all sorts of different backgrounds. We have lawyers and like photographers and nurses and doctors and like bankers, and you don't have to be an environmental person to be a birder. So yeah, that's it. And of course, thank you for having me. I'm really proud of you too. You have been such an inspiration getting your PhD, and now people are asking me when I'm doing mine. So
I'm asking you. I've asked you that as well. Don't be like people. I've asked
you've asked me that too.
Yeah,
recently.
You should be anyway.
We're getting there. I
believe in it. Okay, before you, so just so the rundown of where people can find you. So Bird Club New Providence @gmail.com if you want to join the Birders Society, Bird Club. Snake Rescue on Facebook, Nassau Snake Rescue on Facebook. If you want to join Snake Rescue, Bahamas Locator, Parrot Locator, Parrot Locator on Facebook as well. And Instagram, can people find you on Instagram or send you?
Yes, I answer my messages. It doesn't look like my Instagram's been updated in a long time, but when I start actually doing my bird photography stuff and putting pictures, then it's fine. But Instagram, Nesoplox, Nesophlox. It's a scientific family for the Bahama woodstar. It's a bird, hummingbird.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, I'm also on LinkedIn. Just look me up.
Yes, send messages. If you're a young person who wants to know how to do cool environmental stuff, this is me telling people to just load your messages, by the way. Send messages to the Giselle Deane, soon to be doctor, as soon as the PhD applications go through. Thank you, Giselle, once again for being on the Fin Forum. We are so happy to have you here. Me, and the whole team, we are huge fans of yours, and love and support everything you do.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Okay. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. All right. Thank you for joining the Fin Forum. If you're interested in writing or being part of the forum, please send an email to join thefinforum@gmail.com. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back again next month to have another wonderful guest to talk to you more about the earth and environment and works that they're doing in the Bahamas.
This has been the Fin Forum, brought to you by the Fin Forecast. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button.